what is Mikkyo? I know, Mikkyo is considered like an esoteric practice or teaching or, esoteric Buddhism, but, it's just a simple translation. So we don't know what this means. Please tell us.
I think it gets translated as secret in English. And because of that, then people really want to know about it. And so on the one hand, people think secret means we're not going to tell them. And I always find that funny because, we have a lot of temples, and especially if you go to those temples, even here in the West, throughout Hawaii, you'll find people from all walks of life are members of the temples and are actively involved in Shingon practice. So it's not secret in the degree that it's unobtainable. It is an oral tradition. So we do have a component of direct transmission between teacher and student that goes back over 1,200 years. So it's an unbroken lineage. So the fact that you're given it directly, it's not that it's secret, it's that you apprentice to this, and there are things that your teacher teaches you directly. They're not written down. The other, I guess, meaning more traditionally of Mikkyo is certain things we can express in writing. So you can read the Buddha Sutras and you can learn about the operation of the mind, the way in which our emotions and attachments bind us to certain patterns of behavior and the impact that that has. And then the Buddha's teaching about how to undo all of those connections and attachments and the freedom that that gives a person. So those things can be written out very directly. What you can't express in writing is the actual experience. So the actual experience is in some ways mysterious for us because we can't describe it. I can't ever, create a video, a song, a poem, nothing that we can create because it's conditioned, right? It's part of our world that is not, I don't want to say imperfect, but everything here is in a constant state of change. So for that reason, I can't create something here that can express something that's eternal, something that transcends this world. So in that way, it's esoteric, or it's beyond rational thought. So Kukai taught that if you practiced the right way, if you had developed the right type of insight, you could see this esoteric meaning. You could see where it was hinted at through the sutras, through any of the Buddhist teaching. So it's sort of like peeling back a layer, or maybe an insider's view, we might want to say. Or there's a difference between studying enlightenment and actually experiencing it. So you're a filmmaker and you use a camera in your work, and the camera comes with instructions. So, but the instructions are just the basics. To actually create a documentary and produce it requires skills that you had to learn by doing, by apprenticing, by watching others. It's not something you could read specifically. So if someone said, okay, teach me to be a documentary filmmaker, you might struggle to put it all down in a manual. It's something that they'd have to come along in the journey with you to learn. So those intangible aspects are Mikkyo. They are esoteric. It's not secret. It's just something that you really have to engage with directly to understand.
Wow, you are super, super articulate. I think you answered the question for many people. So I would assume rituals are one of those experiences, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. So what are single rituals?
I think all of society has rituals. So, the most common is when you meet someone. Even if you study a foreign language, the first thing you learn is greetings. So, whether you bow or shake hands, if you introduce yourself, if you hand your business card to someone with two hands versus one hand, like American style, all of these things communicate something to the other person. And if you follow the ritual the right way, it gives a good feeling to the person on the other side. So in the West, if someone has a firm handshake, then it gives you a sense of maybe I can trust this person. Maybe I would listen to them. But if they don't have a good handshake, even if they're very nice, you might think, I don't know, maybe there's something I'm not sure about with this person. So this is a ritual. So in the Buddhist sense, there's a lot of things you need to learn. If you're going to engage in the formal study of Buddhism, many of these things can't be taught very easily through words. It's easier to follow along and learn by doing. And once you have a certain framework of experience with regard to the teaching, then the teacher can come back later and say, okay, when you're bowing, have this in mind. When you're offering incense, have this in mind. So all of these aspects of learning and education are part of internalizing the teaching. Ritual is also a type of meditation. So how do you get across things that can't be described in language? So like I said, you use cameras for your work. So you're probably familiar with Henri Cartier-Bresson, the French photographer. And so he had a unique statement, the defining moment. And so you can learn how to use a camera. You can learn how to use different lenses and how to pull focus and lighting and all these things, right? It's part of a documentary filmmaker or photographer. But when you push the shutter, right? When you take the picture, what angle you choose for a certain subject or how you light the scene, all of these things are very intangible. And so ritual is trying to put you in the shoes of the practitioners. It's a way of moving you closer to the actual experience of enlightenment. So it's harder than other forms. But in many ways, if you can approach it, if you can grasp it through ritual, then it can be a little bit faster. And faster is relative. Even any Buddhist practice is going to take a lifetime, but it can get you there a little bit sooner by helping you simulate the experience of the enlightened mind.
Very interesting. So there are differences between practitioners and lay people. So it seems like you have to be practitioners to experience such a beautiful enlightenment. If you are not doing this full time, it is hard for me to imagine to get into the state.
It's easier if you do it full time, definitely. You don't have to be ordained necessarily to do it. You can practice. So if you could make time every day for practice. So I always teach people, even 5 minutes a day. But the key is consistency. And sometimes people say they're very busy. So I say, if you get up just a little bit earlier, before the kids wake up, carve out a little bit extra time, maybe watch one less TV show, regain this time. But this consistency is really key. So there are many types of ritual. Many of the forms of meditation taught in Shingon are ritual meditation forms, and they are taught openly. So many of the meditation forms are taught, but it is easier for us to teach them in person. I always do. I welcome people to visit the temple. We have, I think, over 12 temples in Hawaii. I know all of my friends in the Koyasan Shingon Mission of Hawaii would welcome you if you visited the temple. And meditation classes are available, and they are ritual meditation.